Today is the first day of the ACM National Conference for this year, 2023, and we're actually starting by going to MNN, Manhattan Neighborhood Network. It's very cool because that was the original location of the Chris Gethard show that I stole a lot of ideas from for the Lowdown Live. Hey, Johnny! How's it going?
There's nobody yeah. That's all of them. My name is Ashley Miller. I'm the Director of Marketing and Development here at MNN Neighborhood Network, or MNN, as many of you know it. We'd like to welcome you to our new location, MNN on 38th Street. I'm glad you found it. It's probably made easier by the fact that they dropped you off. But it's sometimes a challenge to find it. So we're grateful that you're here. We're glad to see you. We hope you're all geared up for an exciting week of ACM goodness, and we're glad that you're here with us today. So just a little bit about MNN. I'm sure most of you know of us, but we've been around for 31 years. We operate Manhattan's 5 plus 3 cable access stations, 5 of content we generate originally, and 3 that we publish from other places. We have 2 locations. One is 11 years old. That's on the east side in East Harlem, El Barrio Firehouse Community Media Center. That's located in a 100-plus-year-old firehouse that had been abandoned. We bought 11 years ago and brought back to be a community center, media center, a large 3-camera studio, a couple of mini studios, and classroom space as well. That's located in East Harlem, and we're awfully proud of it. We hope you get to see it sometime. And no, we did not keep the fire pole. That's the biggest special we had. But this is our new West Side location. If you knew of us before, we were located on 59th Street, exactly 21 blocks north of where we are now. So between 10th and 11th Avenue, we just moved 21 blocks down. The building had served us well for 30 years. And was just about out of its lifespan. So we found this new space here. You may notice a lot of skyscrapers going up here. This is a part of New York City known as Hudson Yards. It's the largest private development in the United States since Rockefeller Plaza. So there's a huge economic investment happening here, mixed-use residential, nonprofit community space, which we're part of, and commercial space as well. So we benefit greatly from that investment from the city, from being adjacent to that. The 7 train now stops right there. Penn Station is next door, and in about 4 minutes, not 24, in 4 minutes you'll hear the Amtrak go by right underneath, which made us invest in a lot of soundproofing. It's fun. But yeah, the Penn Station is right there, the Lincoln Tunnel is right here, so we're very conveniently located for the tri-state area for people anywhere in New York City or otherwise who get here, which is great. Please help yourself to coffee, sparkling water, snacks. I'm going to introduce some of my colleagues, and then we're going to give a little tour, and then you'll have some time to network to ask other questions back in this space. This space is called The Hub. It is our community sort of gathering space. It's really flexible for use if we're doing a program like this one. We can have a podium here. We've got a monitor on wheels that we can pull in here to do multimedia stuff. We can broadcast anything in here that's happening in any of the other spaces through monitors and other things. One of the great things about this space as a whole is where we are in this building itself is called Henry Hall. And it's mixed use, residential, commercial, and community. So downstairs, the first 2 stories are commercial. There's a wine store underneath us, a coffee shop, a restaurant. Above us, we are 2 floors of community space. So we have the 3rd floor and the 4th floor. We'll show you the 3rd floor today. The 4th floor is not quite guest ready yet. The 5th floor is also a community space. That's home to another nonprofit, and everything above that is residential. So the way New York City real estate works is all those pieces come together, and that sort of benefits us as a community organization. But so this is the hub. It's our flexible space. We can hold events here, which is nice in terms of community partnership as well as commercial rentals. So some exciting things. We had the ribbon cutting here earlier this year I think in March. Yeah, in March. I should remember, I was here. And we were very honored to have not just longtime MNN affiliated folks of all kinds, community producers, etc., members of the media ecosystem throughout New York, but also we were lucky to have and honored to have three city council folks, one from the district we're in, one from the district where the firehouse is located. We had the Manhattan Borough President, and we were also very honored to have the New York City Mayor. And so we got a lot of press on that, and it was great to show, the value that we bring to their constituents and the value that we bring to the community as well. And so a lot of them are coming back. Some of them are community producers who create content for our channels. Most everybody has been a guest on a show that has aired on one of our channels. So everyone sort of knew who we were, and they were all excited to see. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Greg Sutton, who's our Managing Director of Access Services, which includes the production and facilitation team that manages this space. Thank you.
Thank you, Emily. It really is wonderful to see so many old friends, and I'm looking forward to making new friends with you folks. It's really always a wonderful period of time annually when ACM folks get together and really talk about the work that they do, the incredible service every one of this room provides to your community. I think you make life habitable for your areas. So congratulations to everyone in this room for getting into this space this far, having your organization send you, and to be with one another. As Emily said, I'm Greg Sutton. I'm the Managing Director of Access Services. It's programming, it's facilities, it's content creation, it's a number of different things. And I'm really honored to work with MNN. Before that, for many years, I was with BCAT, which then became Brick, and was really happy to work there, and then came over to MNN to create some projects and spaces and expand some of the work. I just, I want to say we came in here October, right? So we came in October, at least staff did. Studios were not built. That process with any renovation or build that any of you have done, you know what that's like. And this was just a box. It was a shell. There was nothing here. There were no walls. I mean, there were walls that held up the ceiling, but other than that, there was nothing here. Here's the subway. We'll have the subway. No, Long Island Railroad. 124. Forward up.
That's it. It's on time.
It's on time. Like Mussolini. On the train. Oh, too soon? Okay, so in October, staff came in, and we were about to open the facility when on Christmas Day, any of you are from the Northeast, and I imagine in New York, it was brutally cold on Christmas Day. And at about 5 p.m., the business upstairs, their pipes broke. And 28,000 gallons of water poured into our facility, which set us back a little bit. And which is why when Emily says the fourth floor is not quite ready, that's one of the reasons. It's also mostly admin up there for now anyway, but it really kind of, Merry Christmas. It's really interesting. Just a couple of things of how we have changed some of our business, not to go too deeply into the weeds. I've been doing this for 20 years. Many of you have been doing this for longer than I have, actually, in this room. And public access, community access, we're just the P part of PEG, by the way, over here. But public access has really evolved quite a bit to serve our communities in ever more expansive ways. One of the things that I have been very active in, and I'm happy to say everywhere I've gone has been receptive to, is to provide more access for folks. It's interesting that when we're access, we tend to put up barriers for people to have access. It's just something that has always struck me as kind of odd. Rules, policies, regulations, which in many cases are necessary, don't get me wrong. But some of the things we have done to allow people more access more quickly, prior to most recently, you had to be certified to use our facility, right? You had to take a course which taught you how to use the studio so that you could be successful making content. And Sean from the New York City Center for Media Education will talk about the education initiative and what that's about. But we have changed that dynamic, and that you don't need to take a class to use our facility, right? So then how do you get the knowledge to do that? Well, where's Leon?
He's working in the back.
He's working. Leon,
He's
who's
doing the thing.
manager of production facilitation and his team, you make a reservation, you sign up. You come to an orientation, you sign up, you make a reservation, and our team will be there to show you how to use the facility, right? You don't need to take a class, you don't need to take the 3-week, 6-week, 24-hour class anymore. We get you in there, we get you started from jump. And that's just something that I'm really happy that we're doing, especially now coming back from COVID, where everyone's a little frightened coming back, getting the numbers of people back that we had previously, speaking to new constituencies, allowing them to come in, learn the facilities. And of course, the first time they come in, they cannot produce a show. Not even the second time. The third time, yeah, right? And we always have a staff member there to operate the facility, control room, whatever someone wants us to do. We are a crew person, we're a director, we're a camera person. Right? We will do that so that when community has trouble obtaining crew for the production, we'll do it. And that really came from COVID, because we didn't want you in the control room. So we had to be in the control room, right? So we just sort of carried that over, we learned from that. There are many other things that we're doing to give people more access, to get more people into the facility on a lot of different levels. We're excited to be here, it's a really wonderful facility. We'll show you around this floor and come back after that tour, have a little more fellowship, and then we'll go buy stuff at B&H. Thank you very much. It's great to see you.
Thanks. And yeah, just to piggyback off of what Greg was saying, in terms of access to people and who uses this space and the eternal question, right, of what is our relevance here, we've got a generation, at least one generation of people for whom they don't need the camera here. They've got this stuff at home. During COVID, they produce their shows at home. They produce shows that they air and distribute on YouTube or wherever in a million places, right? They have a million options now. Of course, not everybody has access to a $1,000 phone and high-speed internet. We're very clear on that as well, and that's why we exist. But also, we wanted to be able to be flexible with that staffing and with the level of obligation that we're requiring of people to come in. And why should they be obligated or required to learn something that they've already mastered in their own homes? So how can we supplement their equipment? How can we supplement their facilities instead of like trying to compete with what they can already do? So that's a lot of where that mindset has come from, and we're testing that out, and we'll see where it takes us. But now we're going to talk a little bit about the untangling of the education portion of what we do from the facilities, as Greg mentioned. And we've really sort of spun off, not bureaucratically, but from a brand perspective, we spun off our education program into something called the New York City Center for Media Education. And Sean, who is our manager of media education, is going to tell you all about that. Thanks.
thank you. As you said, my name is Sean, the manager of media education here. So just to kind of go straight off of what Greg was saying, the New York City Center for Media Education is part of our sort of pivot, our new direction for education and access here at MNN. It's about a combination of making access more accessible. Our studio class was 3 weeks long, 2 sessions a week for 3 weeks. And to really do justice to teaching people studio, that is as short as we could make it. And that is a barrier. Not everybody can do that, not everybody has that time, but people want to be able to produce in the studios. Same with editing. You couldn't edit here without taking the edit class, whether you knew how to edit or not. So take that barrier away. Make it an orientation. Let people just come in for free, find out how things work, and then they can make that reservation. So what does education do? We're following up on something that just kind of happened incidentally from the work that we were doing already. We started getting emails over the years from people saying, hey, thanks so much for the class that I took and the opportunities that were at MNN. Now I have a job at CBS or whatever. I have a job at a television studio. I have started my own production company and I'm out there getting clients. I'm out there working. And we said, well, okay, so we want to make this space more accessible. And we know that people are coming through our programs and through their own initiative and their own continuing beyond the classes, they are getting jobs. They are expanding, they're taking a lot of our classes or they're taking 1 or 2 of our classes, but they're getting started with us. So let's focus on that. So right now, where we are with our classes is, it looks somewhat like what we did before, a little expanded. Because this is our first stage, this is our first steps into our ultimate goals, which is to be really one of the key places for people to find affordable professional media education in the city. Because it's not like there's a lack of media education in the city. How many film schools are here? How many art schools are here? But they're not affordable. And the ones that are affordable are not affordable. Like, you know, it's all relative. So we're looking at it as being a place where people from the communities we've traditionally served, but also the communities that maybe only kind of knew that we existed in the first place, can come to and learn video editing. We're doing our video editing classes still, Premiere, DaVinci, eventually Final Cut. We'll see where else that goes. The industry's always kind of shifting gears, and we're watching it. We're offering studio classes still. People can come into the studios and they say, well, I really like getting help from the facilitators, but I'd really like to know more about how this works. Or people who want to start by knowing how it works. Well, we still have that class. It's still here. And it's no longer focused on, okay, let's just get you through so that you can come in and create content. It's about like, we can focus more on really getting you into it. Because we don't have that, it's not necessarily a conflicting goal, but it's a, you know, there's that thing hanging over where it says like, we gotta get people to come in and make content. But now it's about building those skills. And that's where our first stage is. And we're starting to expand already. We have a podcasting studio that you'll see. We're doing more classes in podcasting because there's a demand for podcasting. There's an interest in podcasting. And anybody can get into it, which is the great thing about podcasting. Anybody can get started in it. But how do I get started in it? How do all these steps work? You can find that information, but some people, they want a class, so we've got a class. The facilities are here that people can use to create their podcast and provide the video to be on our channels. And then we're branching off and going into, or not branching off, we are extending what we're doing into the new technologies, virtual production, Unreal Engine. We're developing a relationship with Epic Games so that we can provide education on the tools that are not the tools that have been, but the tools of the future. Because we talk to people in production, especially in studio production, and the skills that they know that they need are those. People who know how to use the virtual production tools, but also understand how television and film production work in the first place, which is a difference in the education that happens for those tools right now. Those tools are focused on video games. People don't know necessarily how to work on a film set or a television set if all they know is how to make a video game. So we're looking to be a space, we're looking to continue to be that space in between for people, where some people just want to go out, DIY, learn how to do it themselves. Some people want to dive in to a full 4-year degree program, a 2-year graduate program. We're in the middle there. We give you enough to get you started. We have resources available. We have facilities available for you to continue your education by doing. So we're in that in-between space. And from there, we are going to be extending into explicit career development programs where we're looking to put people in jobs. We're looking to we're working on storyteller programs. We're calling our storyteller programs in order to encourage those who do not have access to resources traditionally to tell their story. Narrative short films, documentary short films, podcast seasons, where we are working with them directly on that development, encouraging their art, encouraging their creation, extending the mission of this organization through education. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg, and to piggyback again, because I can't shut up about this. I get so excited. One of the things that's really framed our thinking and is framing the way we position ourselves now in terms of what's our value to the community is helping them understand if they're coming through and taking podcasting classes, if they're taking documentary classes, we're not training them to make a show for MNN, right? We are training them to make a show or make a film or learn how to operate a camera or whatever the skill is, right? And these folks, a lot of them, they don't understand, we're available, I should say, in 400,000 households in Manhattan and available worldwide through our streams. But these are folks who don't understand or see the value necessarily in distribution through cable access. And so we're really trying to reframe and emphasize the value of content ownership, whether or not you learn it here, use our facilities to produce it, you are the owners of your content. You can go forth and monetize it in any way you want for the rest of time. We just ask that if you use our facilities to create it, you give us permission to broadcast it. And that's how it always has been, but we're just talking about it a little bit differently because the folks today who are the YouTube distributors, and I'm using that as shorthand, right? They're all about monetizing and ownership of their content in a way, and understanding that in a way that hasn't been before from a business and entrepreneurial perspective. It's the rise of the creator class and influencers, and what role can we play in that? But enough out of me. We're going to now split into 4 groups, and if you can we're sort of naturally in quadrants in this room, and we're going to take you on a little tour. So there's going to be just some housekeeping before we split up. Your tour guides are going to be me, Sean, Greg, and Leon, who's back in that corner. We're going to take you around the 4 quadrants of the 3rd floor, about 10 minutes per stop, friends. And then we'll all gather back here for more networking and socializing questions if you have them, more snacks and treats, and then you'll head back out to B&H, as Greg said. Money spending is up to you. And make sure, before I forget, that you get a gift bag on your way out. And we're so glad to have you, and thank you so much for being here. So, one group in each corner.
Okay.
Room. It seats 48. We're pretty proud of it. We've never had a space like this before.
What's amazing about this new MNN that we're building.
That's our CEO talking. Sorry, I think you can you hear me okay over it?
Yes.
It's not going to get any louder. Anyway,
So yeah, we've operated sort of informal screening situations in our previous location and in the firehouse, and that involves taking the big studio and putting chairs in it with a projector of some kind and a screen. This time we decided let's be a little more intentional about it. And surprisingly, screening rooms in New York City are hard to find, and unsurprisingly, they are cost prohibitive for independent filmmakers, people who want to do any kind of nonprofit screening. You know, they're looking at, if you want to rent a studio, they're renting out a movie theater, which means they're buying it out. Or for a private screening room, it's like at Dolby. And if you're not in the Dolby ecosystem, it may not be available to you. And I'm not speaking about Dolby particularly. I don't know what their policies are. But you're looking at $2,500, $3,000 for a 4-hour rental. And we may take those rentals, don't get me wrong, if that's what your budget allows, but for a lot of people it doesn't. So we partner with organizations like NYWIFT, the New York Women in Film and Television, the Indian American Film Festival, the Art of Brooklyn Film Festival even has done some things here. So it's really great. Big projector over there. This is Windows, but this thing is heavy and hard to open, and not great if you're trying to watch something, because like the sun is out there, and the train. And once this is closed, it's really soundproofed. What this space is most exciting about for me, besides just the screening capabilities, is that it demonstrates how we were able to build out this space from scratch, like Greg was talking about. So this actually, we're a little bit like the Borg. There's a BSP system, and don't ask me technical follow-up questions. There's a BSP system that connects all of the studios and all of the control rooms. So any studio and any control room can operate any of the others. This is actually also a functional studio. So there are cameras up, and you can operate it from any one of the control rooms. So we can do live, web-based live stream talkbacks. We could do a live to cable television thing if we wanted to do that with a talkback, or even just a live presentation. We can record anything very nicely. We did a graduation ceremony and screening in here for some partners that ran a media education program, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So even though it is like a clearly defined screening room type of space, it's still got a lot of flexibility built in, which we're excited about. Yeah, please.
Okay, so when you were talking about, you know, how expensive it is to get a screening room and everything, so this is also generating revenue for you guys. What would be like the cost of renting?
So all of that depends.
Okay.
Right? So we're figuring out, and this is Zenaida Mendez, the director of our firehouse, by the way.
I want to go to the firehouse.
Who you may have met, and she's going to be a panelist in one of your presentations later this week. So it depends on a lot of things. It depends a lot of who you are and what you're trying to do. If you're a nonprofit, we'll look at your budget. We'll look at your budget and what's possible. If you're an independent filmmaker who wants a screening for a technical purpose, you know, we'll see what we can make possible. If you're HBO, that's a different conversation.
Right. Yeah. Okay.
Because the goal is, right, that those for-profit enterprises can help subsidize the rest.
Right.
And we're still figuring out how that's all gonna play out. There is no formula. We have a rate card, and you know, it starts the conversation.
And what is the size of this space?
In terms of square footage,
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Community access is vital because it's about
But
local
yeah,
places, local issues.
we are very much living into this as we go. So far in here, and we can broadcast out of here into the hub, either on those monitors on the wall, or we have a big TV on wheels that can go out there as well. And so we did a partnership with an organization called Second Chance Studios, which takes formerly incarcerated folks and teaches them media skills. We did a months-long project with them. They did their graduation and their screening of their final projects in here with a meet and greet, cheese plate and wine situation out there. We most recently, 2 weeks ago, Epic Games was here hosting a series of talks, which is super exciting for us. They brought their guest list of 70 people who've never heard of us before. We find a lot of people come in for these kinds of events. They've heard of us. They have an idea of what we used to do. They were a guest on a show 15 years ago that their friend did or whatever. These were people who are virtual reality producers who've never heard of us. And we're amazed. And so it's a great showpiece for us to be able to show what we can do and that these tools are available for them. They had 5 different presenters talking about like the state of the industry for themselves, like kind of TED Talk things that were also broadcast out in the hub. And then they did professional networking out there as well. So our hope is that we didn't charge them anything. That's 70 people who'd never heard of us before and didn't know the space was here, who work for CBS Sports. The head of brand for CBS Sports was here. 2 independent film producers were here who run production companies, you know, and I got at least 7 emails after the fact that said, thanks for having us, we'd love to talk to you about using your space. So we're taking a lot of like loss leaders right now just to get exposure, and also it's good learning for us about what's possible and what works. Every event we do is still a new version of it. Either they needed access to another space that we didn't have before, they want to set up catering in a different way. You know, we don't have like a menu yet of package A, B, and C. It's all a little bit of this and that and the other, and we're working it out, but it's a lot of fun. Any other questions? Okay.
And neighbor network.
We're gonna move now. Let me consult my very secretive map. Now we're going back to the hub where we just were, so you can have more cookies.
So folks just come in and they pay to take classes, or they pay to use the facilities, or what do they pay or not pay for?
So students, the question is, what do people pay for right now? We don't have a membership program. Sorry, projector. Our classes are all new. Sean was explaining they're expanded versions of what we used to do. 10 years ago, classes were free. 8 years ago, classes were $25. Now we're ranging $59 up to like $370 for more intensive, you know, weeks-long studio classes, podcasting, etc. So our classes the education program is designed to be self-sustaining. In terms of facilities, right now our facilities are available for free to members of the community, although there is no residency requirement. So they're really open to anybody who gives us permission to broadcast their program or their film or their project. So it's really super open. And then we're also available for commercial rentals, which is a different conversation.
And then you're free and you serve such a large city. How do you not get just inundated with people overwhelmed with?
In part because people don't know who we are, what we do. They have a lot of people have a preconceived notion of what's available.
Do you have policies or to limit someone
Once per month, once per week?
Yes.
dominating the space?
Yes. Yeah. We're looking at, we're also at the same time as we're doing all of this, we've put in a new CRM system. We have a new back-end and front-end course registration system for the Center for Media Education. All of that is tied into Salesforce as a hub and spoke model, right? So Salesforce is a CRM that's running all of the systems. We're about to put in a new reservation system, and through that we'll be capping it at 2 standing reservations at any time, is we think how it's going to work. Don't quote me on that forever. But so if you use the studio a lot, it's sort of self-scaling, right? You can use the studio as much as you want to use it, but you can only have 2 reservations on the books at any time.
Is that pretty much your policy for your other locations?
Yeah, we're one organization. Our policies are consistent across.
And it was Greg, he mentioned if someone, they do the orientation, they make the reservation, and there's staff involved for producing, is there any cost for the staff involvement? That's all included in the reservation. Cool.
How do you ensure that they submit the content to you to air on the channel, or do you not? Is it just kind of...
It's kind of, we haven't had a problem yet. One of the that's one of the challenges with figuring out how accessible we are and can be, and we're again sort of living into it. You know, we're still so small, and because we have those hands-on facilitators, our folks know who the people are, and they're currently, you know, really existing producers. We haven't really had a big push to get a lot of new people in. Once we do, it's kind of an honor system, but we also understand people work at different paces. So we don't want to say in 4 reservations you have to have submitted X number of minutes of content. It maybe takes you a little bit longer, or maybe you work a little faster. So it's just kind of like, are you working towards something? Like, is there some kind of project plan associated? We don't need to see it, vet it, whatever, but like, are you moving towards some kind of goal? Or is this like, you're just coming in to mess around? And that's kind of like, for now, just kind of on a system of us being hands-on with our producers.
Did you guys make a policy change in your policy agreements for the members?
Oh, well, we don't have members.
Client, sorry.
So, our only agreement is the content agreement. There's no space agreement that anyone has to sign, I think.
Do you have like a non-commercial aspect of it that they have to agree to? Would you
Uh-huh.
say they can monetize, but can people use their facilities for client work or for making a commercial?
We'd prefer they don't. We don't have a hard and fast policy on that right now. I think we will, but we don't at this very
For
second.
giving you content to air, does it have to be non-commercial for you to air it?
Yeah, it has to be in line with public access guidelines. Yeah.
Cool.
But if somebody, the great thing is, you know, we have a lot of people who are concerned, a lot of filmmakers who are concerned about exclusivity, that if they want to enter a festival, they can't air it here first. We're like, great, do your festival, give us permission in 6 months to air it. And if they want to monetize that, then that's not a conflict for us. So if they want to sell their film, go for it.
I know you said you don't have members, but do you have an idea between these 2 locations of how many people you are,
Greg would have
active people you're serving?
Greg would have it. We've got to move back. Always be, and we can't
So when Sean was talking, I had a question about, do you guys branch out to the public schools?
Yeah.
So do you have some kind of youth programming?
Not at the moment, not this year. We've done tie-ins with Department of Education programs here. We've also done programs with the Department of Housing, NYCHA. It really operates on a fee for service. We become a state or a city vendor and go through that whole process. It's onerous, but it's profitable. It's not profitable. It's a nice revenue generator for us, and it's a nice way to stay connected with the community, to partner with these organizations, and to demonstrate the value of what we do with our elected officials.
Well, just moving into the new technology that we're talking about with like the esports and things like that. So are you bringing youth in to MNN?
Not at the very second.
Okay.
We're kind of laying low, like right now for this moment. The 4th floor studio is our virtual production studio, and it's not at all ready yet. So once that happens, we will be going full force to bring in as many people as possible. We're kind of like just working with the folks who know us and love us at the moment, and can be patient with us when this thing doesn't work, or the HVAC goes out, or 26,000 gallons of water comes through the ceiling, or some other biblical event happens.
Can you tell? Can you tell us more about what's going into the 4th floor, since we can't?
Yeah. So what's going into the 4th floor studio, and bear in mind, I am not a technical person.
That's okay.
But we've got an OptiTrack system that runs also with a Star Tracker system that comes from a company called Moses, who's one of our corporate sponsors. And for whom we're actually going to sort of serve unofficially as like a showroom for them when they want to bring their customers or prospective customers in to show their capabilities. They can use that space, which is awesome for us. It's a great partnership. And they're just really nice people. They also sponsor the Cinematography Association annual awards, stuff like that, so it's getting us connected and in front of those eyes. That's all operating on Unreal Engine. You'll see in the 3rd floor studio as well, there's a full green, hard green cyc, as well as black and white curtains.
Cool.
Is that good?
Yes.
Do you find some of the residential folks utilizing the space?
No. We'd like to partner with actually not the tenants necessarily, but with the building. They've got a restaurant downstairs, and that glass building with the solar panels on the roof is the Jacob Javits New York Convention Center. So that's where like the New York Auto Show is. Wow. And so we'd love to be able to, for the screening room in particular, be available to trade show folks who are there and look at partnering with the building in terms of like catering options, welcoming hospitality packages for folks who are doing things at Javits. All future dream plans.
If you don't have memberships, how do you track usage and how many people are utilizing your services?
Reservations in Salesforce. And we had an existing system called Access Center, which was a custom-built database that managed our scheduling, our television scheduling, as well as reservations, as well as class registrations. And that's ending, and we're replacing that with a Salesforce-based system. And Myers runs the programming and scheduling piece that we plug in. But mostly we track usage through class registrations and facility reservations.
And everyone has their own profile.
Apologies if this has already been asked, but does MNN make its own content?
Yes. Yeah, we produce our own content as well as we co-facilitate productions with community organizations or individuals as well. One of the things I get particularly excited about as somebody who used to work, community media is new to me. I used to work in global humanitarian nonprofits. It's like totally new, and you all have been very welcoming. But we, for example, Washington Heights, where I live, has the largest Dominican population outside of the Dominican Republic. Dominican media is state-run. Through our streams and through the shows that are co-facilitated by MNN that are filmed out of the firehouse or produced out of the firehouse, people in the Dominican Republic are able to hear what's going on in the ground in their own country in a way they can't from the state. And I get kind of excited about that. Are elected to represent those folks because Dominicans can have dual citizenship. That matters a lot. We just celebrated the 10th anniversary of a show we helped facilitate called Makalala TV, which is the longest, I believe it's the longest running Filipino American talk show in the world. That's super interesting just on its face to me. It's also super interesting when you think about the fact that the son of the Marcoses is the president of the Philippines, and the #1 source of GDP in the Philippines is remittances. So all of a sudden that conversation about what's happening there and here becomes very interesting to me from a democracy global standpoint. As well as, we help produce, Broadway's 4 blocks away. So we help produce shows about the theater industry, about one of my favorite shows it's not one we produce, but it's called Hair Lab. It's a guy who talks about hair products. I love it. But yeah, we do co-facilitate. We also do produce shows about local elections. Last year, New York City had ranked choice voting for the first time. So we had like 16 candidates on the ballot. On a half-hour show on ABC, they maybe each get 12 seconds. But if you're on the ballot, we will give you space on our channels. We'll give you facilities we'll give everybody equal time and space to create their own message. And what's exciting to me about that is we're not just hearing about the front runners and their message, we're hearing from the smaller parties or the third parties or the non-parties. And I think, I'm biased, but I think that's what helps move the needle, even for people who are not necessarily electable on their face. So we do we do the most, I think, in-depth election coverage, certainly in Manhattan, probably in New York City. Yeah.
So this is like a hangout spot, but is it also for production potentially? Or?
We don't have cameras in here. We can set up a camera like where Chris, who's our social media coordinator from my team. We can set up cameras there, and we have, when the mayor was here and we did the ribbon cutting, we filmed all of that and broadcast it. Not live, but we could have.
So people could use the space that way if they want to.
Those computers over there are our reservable edit stations. So if you're coming in to edit, there you go. We also have edit suites upstairs, which are not open yet, but we're getting into beta testing those with independent creators and filmmakers. Those are we have 3 rooms with full edit suites.
And do you charge for reservations?
Yeah.
And your training spaces are going to be upstairs?
The virtual production one is we're gonna head to the classroom area right now. In fact, let's go. Feel of that you miss a little bit. You don't feel like you're in a TV studio, but 99% of our shows that are produced here take as much space as in that studio, right?
Yeah.
And with LED lights versus traditional lights, the efficiency is like astronomical. So we can pack a lot more production capability into a much smaller space now, which in New York City is like very important. I'm sure everywhere that is, but especially like square footage cost here. Yeah, so these are all Mac Minis, I think, right?
Mac Studio.
Mac Studio, that's the one. And we've got a smart board up here. This is where we really teach our hands-on, like not studio, but our editing, post-production, audio, and video editing classes. You know, one of the things that Sean didn't really dig into too much, but has been important for us is that we're, you know, there's perception, right, that like there's what's available now. Coursera, Masterclass, YouTube, on and on and on, Domestika, you know, are all offering like $100 memberships for unlimited online education, and that's great. There's this huge place for that. I came up as a graphics designer, so there's super value in YouTube education, don't get me wrong, but I find that it's great for like learning to do one thing. Where we really shine is in the affordable department, the accessible department, but also we are hands-on education in the classroom. If you've got a question, you can raise your hand and one of our education coordinators who's a master in their craft will come over and help you. So we've got intergenerational students, we've got people with all skill levels who can help each other, work together. It really helps emphasize the community aspect of what we're building. Our hope is that we're sort of building like a creative collective here, a community of people who are working together to create art or get messages, whatever they want. So that's what happens here. I was gonna say something else and it flew out of my mind. Oh, so as Sean did say, right, there is no lack of media education here in New York City. NYU Film School, I think, is running 60 grand a year. I think. I have to send it away for the brochures. It's discount code available. We have found, digging back the past 6 years of data, we have not been asking people where they live, but we know what zip code they registered from. So some of them, it might be their business office or something, right? But we can get an idea. And 55% of the zip codes are from zip codes where the median income is below $75,000 a year, and 11% are below $36,000 a year. Those are folks for whom NYU would never be an option. Or even some of the smaller programs, New York Film Academy, et cetera, et cetera. But for a couple $100, you can come here, and hopefully we'll have, as we develop this program, more self-sustaining programs that underwrite the rest, scholarship funds, corporate sponsorships that help subsidize some folks as well. The Storyteller program that Sean was talking about for example, formerly incarcerated students, for LGBTQ, for various communities that for whom they don't have, for whatever reason, film school may not be an option. So that's what we're building here. We're pretty excited about it. Yeah.
What was the thought process behind kind of spinning off your education arm into this different brand as opposed to just MNN?
Because we found that with this is an broad generalization about that most of the people thought that MNN classes were tied to MNN channels and did not understand the difference, and trying to explain that to them versus capitalizing on the brand equity of New York City, for one, and calling it the New York City Center for Media Education, which is pretty self-explanatory, really opened it up for people who didn't know what MNN was, didn't have any interest in airing things on our channels. You know, we're really focused on getting a lot more film students in, and not just television producers. We hope to have a certificate program, which is not like certification, but come here, take a certain number of classes in X, Y, and Z. We're just dreaming this. It's being built as we imagine it. So it may not happen. Don't hold me to any of this. But having a certificate program by which then you can tell an employer, you can go across the street to ABC and say, I have a certificate in studio production from the New York City Center for Media Education. And just trying to leverage it as a new brand. I mean, it's a lot of discussion about the pros and cons, and there are pros and cons in both. But also, if we wanted to expand it past New York City, and even beyond the tri-state area, there's a lot more media brand equity in New York City than in Manhattan. When people think of film, television, media, they think of New York City. They don't think necessarily of Manhattan. So apologies to Brick, Bronx Neck, Queens, and Staten Island. And we sold it to a nonprofit that it was a tear down, really, or building. So it's an empty lot now, and they're building. We sold it to a nonprofit that is building a transitional housing facility for women experiencing homelessness. So we did not want to sell it to a big developer. Right. So we tried to keep the neighborhood mix as we found it.
Yeah.
So we had some revenue though from that sale, and then it was really a mix of private funding and leveraging the city's credit rating and working with the all of the acronym named organizations that run the financing of New York City to put that together. And I can't share a ton of those details, and I don't know most of them.
Right. Okay. But basically, it was. Well, do you think it was like an even swap out then?
No.
No. Okay. And is the space that you purchased here the same as what you had?
In terms of
Size?
no.
No.
It's smaller.
This is smaller.
This is smaller, and it's part of a building instead of we owned the whole building where we were before. So that's a little bit of a transition as well as we are an owner, but we're a tenant owner. And so working with building management, you may notice the HVAC operates differently in different corners of this building right now. And figuring out how that works and how we literally service that when something goes wrong is a super fun surprise. And this room is actually a good demonstration of the happy surprise. We found some unhappy surprises and some happy surprises. Happy surprises, we can teach a really great ambient light class in this room. Like, actually, it's pretty good. And come back next week and the light will be totally different. We've also found that, what were unhappy surprises? Well, the train's not so fun, actually. Everything is soundproof, but like if I'm having a Zoom meeting in my office upstairs, like you can't hear me, it's kind of annoying. And I have an index card on which I've written all the train times, and that's fine.
I was gonna say. The light comes on, train coming in 5 minutes.
11:24 on the hour, so in 9 minutes. But yeah, we learned some things about the neighborhood. We've learned some things about our neighbors. We've learned, for example, you all were a great example and test case this morning. We can see what the traffic looks like on 38th Street. So Greg called ahead and had y'all dropped off at the corner instead of trying to have your bus come up the street, which would have taken an hour because the parking garage across the street. So we're living into some new things. We're at the southern end of our food delivery area, which we were at the northern end before. So we can still get empanadas, which was like very good. And yeah, we're learning as we go, but
So
every day is a new fun surprise.
is there a quick answer as to why you did that?
The old building, you mean why we moved?
Why you did that and came to a smaller space and like?
Well, the old building was a tear down.
It was,
It was
okay,
so much to renovate it. The HVAC didn't work. The elevator was stuck all the time. I mean, it really was just beyond the point of being able to renovate it in a financially responsible way.
Yeah.
Because of Hudson Yards, we were able to leverage a lot of the Economic Development Corporation. That's the one, the EDC. The EDC was instrumental in making this happen, and we were able to leverage a lot of that. We were also able to leverage coming into this building because it's mixed use. We're the tax break floor, right? We're the community media floor that allows this building to get certain tax breaks. We're like the affordable housing part of this building. So just all those pieces came together, and Dan Coughlin and our board really worked tremendously hard to make this happen. I mentioned earlier, we were able to do the same amount of production in a smaller space because of just technological efficiencies that didn't exist when we built out 38th Street or 59th Street.
But you're still partnered with the firehouse?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're not partnered with the firehouse. The firehouse is us. We are the firehouse.
Okay, so you still
MNN
have that
has
access?
2 locations.
Okay.
This is the west side and the firehouse. So during the transition, actually, we never stopped operations.
Right.
Our 59th Street productions went to the firehouse. So we moved those shows up there, and now they're coming back. Some produced at home for a minute, and our master control, I think, was run out of a truck for a couple of minutes. But we didn't go off the air, and we never stopped production, which is like a huge, I say not for me, but a huge testament to our tech ops and our Greg and Leon's team. And the flexibility of our community and producers. Like, they were able to understand what we were building here, and that's part of why they've been the first to come back, because we want them here to test it, and also because we're proud that they sort of stuck with us through this transition. They've showed an enormous amount of flexibility, which has been great.
How big is your staff here, and where do you get your operational funding from?
I think we're about 30 to 35 is our staff across both locations. And our operational funding still is primarily from cable companies.
So you're allowed
From
to use it
free.
for operational dollars, okay.
We are, like everybody, facing the challenge of diversifying our revenue, and that's why I have a job here. That's what my job is. And so we're looking at, part of the reason we're expanding operationally, what we do is to find not just other sources of income, but partnership. I believe very, very strongly, as I know you all do, in the mission of what we do here. The level of equipment that we're able to provide and make accessible to the community here is second to none in the world. This does not exist for people to be able to come and do virtual production with Unreal Engine. That just isn't available in most places. It's not true everywhere. I'm being a little hyperbolic, but when Epic Games was in here, Epic Games was in here, and they were talking about, every single person who spoke, talking about Unreal Engine and Epic Games, was saying they can't find enough people to work because those educational pipelines really haven't been cultivated yet. They want staff. They want us to train people who can then go work for them. And so finding those partnerships is really going to be, like, I think, valuable all the way around. Like, it closes that circle in exciting ways. Yeah.
You mentioned a way you can generate revenues by doing commercial rentals, and then that helps, you charge them market rate, and that helps subsidize for community members. How do you balance having the space available for rental with the community getting to use the space?
Absolutely. It's an ongoing challenge. It's not a new one. We've done commercial rentals before. It all is, there's no hard and fast formula. It's not 20% of this. When a commercial rental comes and approaches us and says, we want this amount of space, we look at the staff, we look at the availability, we look at if we would have to move producers, can we move them? Is it a show that can be at the firehouse for a week? And it comes down to hard conversations about, not quite as blunt as this, but this is a $100,000 rental. Can we afford to move, this 1-2 hour reservation in exchange for that? And those kinds of conversations. Again, there's no formula. But we have created sort of a matrix of partnerships for anything, for a nonprofit, for a for-profit, whatever it is, that literally kind of helps to not formalize that, is that a word, but provide a structure. Who is this organization? What's their budget? What are they asking from us? What are they offering us? What is their mission? Are we missionally aligned? Even if it's for-profit, we'd like to ask that question and make sure that they're in line with our ethos and our mission, and nonprofits as well. That's important for us. So it's a variety of criteria. There's no score sheet. You don't hit a 10 and get a reservation, but those are questions that help guide those conversations for sure.
And we have to do the same thing, sort of a resource matrix.
Yeah.
And we have the same answer though. It's is like, first of all, talk to everybody and see if people can move around.
Yeah.
Just ask the question first and see what happens.
Yeah.
And that fixes it most of the time.
Yeah.
But we've actually hit a point that our weekly exec team meeting where if we get to the point where we're not sure, like, then we bring it to our actual exec team and say, who do we pick? And it's based on the kind of criteria you're talking about, how mission aligned they are. Is it one of our producers who produces every single week and say, hey, can you take off a week?
Yeah, and it really does come down to the fact that also, institutional memory matters, right? So Leon's team, Leon worked at Brick forever. He's worked here for a long time. I can't get the numbers right, but those folks know, the guy who produces this show has trouble with stairs. So it's better for him if he can be here. We can move him if we need to, but it's not great. And those kinds of conversations, and we weigh all those things very individually without trying to be practicing favoritism. Like, there's a balance there, right? And that just comes down to knowing and having some of those mission alignment conversations. Is this person going to is this like a more chill producer who's like, sure, I can move up there? Is it going to be a hardship for them? All right, shall we go see the big Studio 3? It's not that big, but it's big. Yeah, but we don't have that kind of reference. It's just the fiberglass. So this is Studio 3, and I feel weird because I'm on set and it's not live, but it's on.
I'll sit on your couch.
Please do. And you can see, I think you walked past the control room for this. I would say for this studio, but again, it can operate any studio. And any one of the control rooms, even those mini studios, can operate this studio. So we've got 3 traditional floor cameras. We've also got LEDs that can be programmed however you program LEDs. We've got the hard green cyc, which we only had curtains before, which are a nightmare because you can stretch them all day long and they will never be right. But we've also got black curtains and white curtains. We can also turn these lights around and film the other way. So it's, again, as flexible a space as we could make it. And it does not, as I said, have that feel of like a big studio with double high ceilings, and it doesn't need to, because we can do almost everything that we did before here, with the exception of, I think 10 years ago, there was a comedian named Chris Gethard who had a show on MNN, and he did a live show with a studio audience, and we can't do that here. But that was a one-time thing. So we felt like, from a return on investment kind of standpoint, we had to say that's just something we would do it. We could do it at the firehouse. We just can't do it here.
Probably could do.
It would be a very small studio audience. You could do it maybe in the screening room, but they were like running around. I mean, he couldn't have done that show as he did it here, which he did and won't probably do again. It just, we didn't have, we looked at our use cases, and like, again, 99% of what our producers are doing. We talked to people who were not in our existing ecosystem, independent creators, filmmakers, I watched this documentary on Netflix. I didn't fully understand the value of what we could do, particularly upstairs. And the 4th floor studio is about the same size, but it's the one that's got OptiTrack and Moses Star Tracker system all in the thing in the ceiling. So you can do motion capture upstairs and all that, but it's about the same size as this. But I was watching a Netflix documentary called The Bling Ring, which was, they've made into a fictional movie, but this was a Netflix documentary about a bunch of young criminals in Los Angeles who were breaking into celebrity homes and stealing all their bags and watches. They broke into Paris Hilton's house, true story. And this documentary had several of them being interviewed, and at the end, not to give anything away, the filmmakers were making sort of a point about the artifice of Hollywood. And you had seen these interviews with lawyers in a law office with books behind them, and different different members of the Bling Ring in like a loft space, and somebody in an apartment, and somebody in a living room. And when they made this point about the artifice of Hollywood, they took away the virtual background, and you saw that it was just one guy sitting on a chair in front of a green screen. And to me, that immediately translated as like what's possible here. Almost every one of those true crime documentaries and TV shows is filmed in a space this size. And I don't know, I got excited about it. I'm used to seeing public access talk shows, 3 people at a table with some kind of virtual background behind them, or a chair and 2 couches. So seeing really this kind of like look and feel of those shows that you've seen 1,000 times, and like seeing that that is what our young filmmakers in New York could make here, got me a little more excited. So we teach our studio class in here. We will teach our virtual studio classes upstairs. The control room upstairs is about twice as big. Master controls upstairs. Our edit suites are upstairs. Our administrative offices are upstairs. And the flood that happened was directly above us, but into the 4th floor virtual studio, which was almost complete. And Dan Coughlin, our executive director, CEO, he and his family ate Christmas dinner here. Oh. Yeah. It was something. So we've had those, that's why we have those fans, actually. But now they're convenient because our HVAC's been a little wonky this past 2 weeks. Any questions? All right. Well, thank you so much for the tour. Thank you for being great tourists. Welcome to MNN, and we're gonna head back to the hub where we were before, grab more snacks, chit chat, ask more questions of the people who could probably answer them that I could not. Great tour.
Thank you. Pizza Talk with Brian.
Pizza Talk on MNN.
Brian, what was your favorite part of MNN?
I liked the hub. Yeah, the little like common space for everybody. That was pretty cool. And the theater. Theater was pretty cool.
Yeah. Or can we build a theater?
I mean,
Screening room?
yeah, I could try.
Kat, Johnny, what was your favorite part of MNN?
Just seeing all their studio spaces. I think it was interesting to see how the smaller spaces were maximized to their fullest potential. So,
Yeah.
But then when you look at it in a visual sense, it's like, oh, it doesn't. You wouldn't have known that it's in a room. You know, just little.
And we only saw one floor.
Right. Yeah. Yeah,
I can't wait to hear more about their virtual production floor.
Yeah.
I know they had in that one Studio A on the dots on the ceiling were all like markers for upstairs to do like virtual stuff out of the studio.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
what?
Oh, and their relationship with Epic Games, that was really unique too.
Yeah.
Wow. Super cool. Yeah.
I was a little bummed to learn that that was not the original location. They moved in there about 6 months ago, but we didn't get to see the studio that Chris Gethard did the Chris Gethard show.
Yeah.
But
the fire station, right?
yeah, but now they also have their second location uptown.
I wonder if it looks like the Ghostbusters kind of like building, you know? Where
How did they
it's
get
like,
a fire station?
Yeah, bummer they don't have a fire pole in there anymore,
yeah,
though.
They should have left it in there just kind of.
I've spent a lot of money on B&H's website, but I've never actually been here.
In the actual store.
Here we are.
Yeah. Harmonic.
Gotta make sure you sound good.
I know, right?
There we go, that's all right.
You're after that.
Good to see you.
How's it going, Kyle?
Hey.
Thank you guys all for coming out. I thank the ACM group for making B&H a stop on the tour bus. And you know, you guys are a pleasure. We're happy, you know, to have you and host you, and we appreciate your business. We got some sandwiches here for you guys. You know, snack away. I'm waiting for a few tour guides to show up. They're on their way over from the office. And then you guys, it's optional if you want a guided tour, but we can break up into 3 groups and get a little tour of the store. You guys can meet. We have folks in the studio team down at in the beginning of the store. You go down there and talk to them, see how they can maybe help you guys with your studio needs. They can do full consulting, anything you need there. Also, just a note. I know you guys are going to want to, geek out on all the gear here today. That's great. It's a great opportunity to go actually play and touch some cameras you may be have been looking at online, but you won't be able to use like your ACM discount at the cashiers. So I got 3 laptops set up here. If you guys wanted to place an order, I can help you guys get in. If you're not already on the ACM portal, I can help you with that. I can get you whitelisted, and that's it. You can ship it back to your house, to your office, or you can even ship it next day to your hotel right from here if you want to do that. So that's the lowdown. And I'm going to hang out in this room for the entire time, just so you guys can find me if you need me, if you have any questions at all. But we'll start. I guess we'll just pop open these trays and you guys can start snacking, and then we'll talk about splitting up into tour groups. So.
The Casey Neistat thing was there.
This is our bread and butter. Hi, Frank. Hello. This is the ACM tour. This is the photo manager. Hi. All right, so we're gonna come around this way to Pro Photo, over to HDSLR. So, all right, it's a lot quieter now here, so I'm just scrape some thing. Everyone here?
Yeah.
All right, so here, bless you. So here we've got tripod section. Any kind of tripod, photo, video that you can probably think of is up here. And then we've got our HDSLR section over here. So that's going to be solutions for like what he's doing right now, where he is filming and taking photos using the road. We've got the cranes over here, and they'll help you with all your solutions. You just come up here. Anyone who's behind our counter, these are our like big experts. All right, these are our main guys, and then we've got people in kiosks and things like that. So what you do is you don't walk around B&H holding anything, okay? You never carry product with you. What you do is you find someone in a green vest, and you say, hi, I'd like to buy this, and he makes you a ticket. So that's what that machine is. When you walked in and you saw that conveyor belt going around, it runs all the way down. It's underneath the counter, and that carries all your products. You pick it up downstairs, you just walk around with a ticket. These are the guys who make your ticket, all right? So we're gonna come around so you guys can kind of see. And then we're also gonna see our online chat. Customers are standing. I have a bottle of wine for you at my desk. I'll bring it tomorrow. That's why I'm so happy, guys. So this is actually something new. This is something we started in 2020 when, whatever that thing was that happened that was weird. This is so anywhere you are in the world, you can actually call into our experts and shop in the store. So they have cameras on them. They'll build the products for you. If you say, hey, I need a bag that has this, that I can fit all of these things in it, or I'm looking at this lens, how does this work? They will actually show you on video and sit and chat with you about it. This is a completely free service that we offer, along with our tech corner, which I'll show you downstairs. So far we have 5 people in Pro Photo. We've got people downstairs in lighting and in Pro Video that are all part of that same team where customers can call in and get those services. So if you don't live here, like I think someone in another group said they were in Honolulu, like you can call in from Honolulu and be like, hey, I need help with this solution. And that's what they're here for. So you get the experience of being here. It's kind of a crazy store, Our binocular section, our optics, I couldn't think of the word, it was gone. We do rifle scopes, regular binoculars, all kinds of optics that you can think of. We have an expert here for that as well. We've got telescopes. I'm going to take us all the way back to our consumer video area, our drone area. We have a drone cage. If you guys want to walk all the way around.
Cage.
So you can come in here, you can test the drones out.
Oh, wow.
Oh my God. So if you're thinking of buying one, these are obviously the guys that are going to have all the answers for you. The underwater drones,
Me too.
they know all of them, so feel free to ask them any questions if you have any questions about anything. All the accessories are up here. And then we also have a lot of things set up in our store like this, where we can actually do online seminars, and we actually show product, like kind of explain podcasts and things like that from the store live. Does anyone have any questions?
Not yet.
A little overwhelmed by products?
Yeah, maybe underwater.
Right here. That's actually a good idea.
If you want to just walk with us, just come on.
I'm sure you do.
So that being the case,
That looks like the one I crashed behind.
$20 bill. It's like $70.
No, it's really Our studio.
We just got rid of our teleprompter.
We
need a new one.
We use teleprompters all the time. Oh yeah. Oh,
That one is huge.
It's crazy, right?
Yeah,
It was so loud too.
It was so loud.
It kicked on, and I was like, "Did the fan just break? Like, are we okay?"
And it pushed out so much air, people were just standing by it.
I know. It was just like whooshing. Yeah. So when you come in, maybe you're like a beginner, or you have a question about new product or something like that. You're trying to upgrade, or you're just getting started. Anyone in these kiosks is going to be an expert on whatever is in that kiosk. Okay. So most of them are trained across multiple kiosks. Some are just specialty in one specific. So you come in, you're like, hey, I have this. I want to upgrade to this, and we don't get paid by. Obviously the brands are paid by B&H. So if it is something where a solution might fit better, they might send you to another kiosk to be like, hey, you've been Canon for a while, have you checked out Sony? You know, those kinds of things. So that's what these guys do all day long. And then behind them is our whole printer section. That's going to be office printers, obviously photo printers. The other side.
I need the 3D lens. I need to start making content for the Apple Vision Pro. Got to be ready for the headset revolution.
You got to shoot in to make that fully.
Tours, just like tours of.
Oh yeah, just like.
Yeah.
So one thing that we will do is we do try.
Oh yeah, maybe Casey's in.
So this bag section here, a lot of times either customers will bring in all of their products that they want to fit into a bag, or if they don't, if you're traveling, you don't have all of them, we'll actually pull them out from the back here and we'll bring them around and we'll try and help you fit it into the bag. Because everyone's always searching for that best photo bag and no one ever seems to find it. It's like you're chasing a pipe dream there, All right, I'm gonna start going downstairs. If you guys, I'm gonna hang out for a few minutes just because I know in the studio they're gonna talk a little bit longer. If you guys want to look here for a minute, just give you 5 minutes, just so we're not running into other groups. Or any questions, feel free to ask.
Gonna try it. Let's see if I want to spend $1,300 on a VR lens.
I have to tell you.
Our tour guides are continuing now.
Oh, is she ready?
Yeah. Oh, you
Okay.
did? Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I'm ready to go VR. Got to get ready for the Apple headset. Everybody's
go.
going to be watching.
Right.
Oh, you
Make
get
it
what
kind
my
of
hand.
immersive, like, hey.
Yeah.
Welcome.
I think that's a life-size shack. That's
I
pretty
think
cool.
so.
Almost 5 years ago now. So whether you buy something from B&H or not, if you need help learning how to use it, you can book an appointment here for an hour for free. And you can do it as many times as you want. So if you buy a new camera, and I don't know if anyone has seen Sony cameras, but they have a lot of things inside of them, and everything is open to you, and they can be a lot. You can come here and you can talk with one of our experts, and they'll go through what is it that you're photographing? What kind of settings would you like to use? What do you want to learn? And they'll go through it all with you. They'll teach you some basic photo things, and then also the basics of the camera. But they'll do it with anything, computers, anything that we sell. They'll sit and go through with you to try and help you understand how to use it. Obviously, we would love it if you bought it here, but if you got it off Amazon, I guess I understand. And we'll put computers here, and they'll do live chat one-on-ones also, like they did upstairs, except it'll be more of one-on-one, a little quieter. You have a little bit more time than just being up there. So that's what this whole area is for. And I guess also plant storage. I don't know when that started, but it looks like batteries. Yeah, this actually used to be tiny little mobile things like watches. We also had a lot of knives here. I don't know, weird little things. I don't know, you're a tourist, you gotta find a knife.
I'm new to the city, I need protection.
I think we still have machetes on our website.
Oh. Wait, can they show me how to use that in the tech center? Thank you.
That'd be a fun lesson. I would actually like to sit on.
This is where the camera's filming. So we still do color, black and white. medium format, and we also send film out. Like if you want things to look at. Yep. So we don't process it in-house. We send it out. Yeah, I don't. We have a lot of space on a city block already. I don't know if we can fit film processing. See someone fixing it. This thing breaks all the time. It's used a lot all day long, you know. So yeah, here's where any of that analog stuff is found. All the accessories. See, we moved some of our mobile stuff over here, like the flashlights, and but they don't have the knives on display. Batteries, all that kind of stuff, and then all the lighting you can think of. A lot of times, like what you saw upstairs, how we had that like kind of demo podcasting area, we actually have Pro Photo usually comes in. They'll bring like their backdrops and they'll bring a model and they'll sit and teach you how to use their lighting and let you take shots, and then they'll send them to you so you can actually have them. So we do that here a lot. Any questions? All right, I'm gonna take you guys over to the other side. We're gonna get into like computers, monitors. So we also, you can test out headphones. You can try out the computers. You can kind of see how the keyboards feel. We've got music things also, a little slightly Sam Ashy over there, not quite as big. All the hard drives, cables, all those smaller solutions, those are all down here. Laptop bags. Now this section is a little unique. We started this a few years ago, I think 3 years ago now, 4 years ago. Watch out, buddy. So a big thing that started was filming on your phone. Having solutions where you can like get good audio, good lighting on your phone. And that's actually what this is. This is for photo and video, strictly mobile. So all those little gimbals, like you could put obviously that's a big phone. I don't want to carry that thing around, but you know, that's what this whole section is. So they're pros. Not only do they know photo and video, but they can help you with all the solutions on your mobile device.
Starting.
We'll go down this way, get out of this guy's way. And then we have like a few of those like video game things left that we have left. We took a lot of like the video game stuff out of our SKUs, PlayStations and those kinds of things, and selling actual games. There's a few things that we still keep that are like, you know, base computer or console base. And then that goes all the way around, and this whole thing is just computers down here. So, any questions? All right. We're gonna run into this tour, so I'm gonna make you loop back around, and we're gonna go into like the music area, and then hopefully. Like I said, we do some like sound solutions as far as music goes. A lot of the sound solutions that are down here are for production. So any like broadcasting, any gaming companies that are putting together, you know, their big panels and things like that, live concert things. We do have a small room for you to test out some things. Not as many instruments, more of like that heavy tech side, like how to make it sound good. That's what it is.
But how much storage can I get in there? Like, what's the
It's free.
Okay.
We have the F6.
Really long.
All the brands are kind of intermingled here. We have one big one. You can come in and test it out. We have this nice little Empire State Building here for you to test out your depth of field, all your bag solutions, tripod solutions, lighting solutions. Those are all going to be here as well. You guys feel free to look. I'm going to go and see.
Do they have your EX1 here still? I saw one EX1 yesterday.
Very similar to this.
Yeah.
Z150. Z90B.
Put it on top.
Oh, this is
Top seller. Classic. I don't think we'll be buying any more, but no. What's the next step after this? This?
No. The EVA one. That's wild. They sell the EVA one.
Look at that lens.
That's the Canon Cine.
Yeah, archiving. Cat 5.
Oh yeah, the built-in gimbal.
Yeah.
That thing's nuts.
Okay, I'll just run one cable, that's it.
You need to switch.
It is Johnny. Was this the V-Raptor? Yeah.
I think so. I think that's why I brought you here, but I'm not totally sure. This is
That's
Steve.
all good. Hi guys, I'm Steve.
This is Val. They
and
both
this is
work
Val.
for the studio.
And we're part of the studio team, which is a group of sales and systems engineers that help solve problems, for lack of a better term. We have guys that focus, really kind of focus on cinema, digital cinema type cameras like the Aries and the Reds and the Sonys, the Venices of the world, and then a couple of us kind of overlap and work more into the broadcast and broadcast engineering side of the fence, and then post-production lighting and grip. And so when somebody has a problem like, oh, I want to get this signal from point A to point B, how do we do it? And we become like the shell answer people. Big thing in our world today is XR or VR in terms of LED walls and stages and so forth. So we're starting to see a lot of that take shape. It's the fastest growing segment, I think, of the industry, but also the fastest changing. That's the problem with our industry is that we just got to constantly stay ahead of the curve, and LED and XR and that world is it right now. That's the short story.
And then, we have more space in here
Yeah.
than normal. They actually will rent demos to people to test out, or some things are out on shows. So sometimes it's a little more crowded in here. That's why a lot of stuff is boxed up. It's going to different locations, whether that's customers testing something out or, doing all the trade shows that we do across
the room
the globe,
is
basically,
fully,
at this point.
The room's fully wired in like a 6G, 12G kind of a space. We have, typically there would be a line of those cinema cameras and more broadcast stuff over on that side of the fence. And as Chelsea mentioned, we'll do a lot of demo, a lot of testing with a client. They'll come in and they'll want to see 5 different lenses on a specific camera. They might put talent over there. Our lighting is we're in a state of disarray here, but also a state of redesign. And we do generally, the boxes over there are equipment going out for a customer for a demo. The stuff right behind you is also for a demo. And so it's constantly, when you run into a snag, oh, we want to try this, this camera, this lens, this whatever it may be, we're here to assist.
Yeah, it's easier to test out $18,000 worth of lenses than buy them and try and return them,
Yeah, for sure. And where's everybody from?
Different places.
All over, yeah.
Ohio.
Okay. Y'all together there? Yep, okay.
California.
Okay. Wow.
From Maui.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Really hard.
Yeah, you did the farthest. Did you
That's a long
travel? Did you
trip.
get the longest travel?
I'm pretty sure.
I think, yeah. I don't think anybody's, at least within this group, sure.
Well, there's like 2 other organizations. One's from Oahu,
Okay.
the other's from the Big Island, and then I'm from Maui. Not sure if Kauai made it though this year. Still far. Kauai
far.
we get the farthest.
Yeah, that's it, yeah. And
Yeah.
what, tell me a little bit about what because I don't know exactly what y'all do, so I broadcast.
Yeah.
Cable over the air, satellite.
We're all community media centers, cable access.
Okay, got it. Okay.
This is our annual national convention where we get to see our colleagues and steal each other's ideas.
Very cool. Very good. Yeah. So what's big in your network in your state?
In terms of technology, well, yeah, we just replaced some old JVC cameras in our studio.
Yeah.
Blackmagic studio cameras.
Okay.
Yeah.
I would say we're probably, our industry collectively is always on the lookout for budget options.
Yeah. And you did the studio version or the Ursa version?
Studio 6Ks and then the Canon Cine compact servo lenses.
Oh, okay, yeah, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Very good. Is that kind of a common theme with everybody else, or different cameras in your shop? Or?
I just, my studio over in Ohio, we just switched all over to in-studio cameras being NDI cameras. And actually, I just, your little bird dog 4K over there, I spotted it. That's what we got for our studio.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, NDI is like...
I'm setting it up this week.
Right. Yeah, we see so much going on with NDI, you know, not only in just, you know, geographically located in one spot, but also reaching out across the world to be able to pick up a NDI source from Maui to New York.
And maybe someday all our stations will be interconnected, but...
Oh, yeah, that would be actually pretty cool technology, yeah. I mean, the technology exists. You can certainly all do that, you know. So, and what do you guys switch on, Blackmagic hardware or do you use something else?
We were using TriCaster, but we switched to Blackmagic in our main studio.
Yeah.
We still have TriCaster in our mobile truck.
Sure, okay, yeah.
Or TriCaster.
Yeah, what do you prefer?
TriCaster's so darn buggy.
Yeah.
We always have problems.
What do you have?
TC1.
TC1, yeah. 8, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, they can be quirky at times.
I actually forgot my Peak Design wrist strap, so I actually just placed an order for one. Let's try picking it up. Let's see if it's ready. Got it.
Nice.
Ready to roll?
Hey, look at how the bag in the picture like goes with the straps. Oh yeah. Clever design. Cool.
Johnny, what was your favorite part of B&H?
The tour that we got, the exclusive tour.
Yeah, we got an exclusive tour. Like we could have just gone in and walked around. That was cool, but yeah, we got VIP service.
Right. It was fun. I liked just hearing about how they have different clients that go into this like studio space with all these cinema cameras.
Yeah.
And like, it kind of reminded me of our production space at CMAC, where we have kind of all of our own gear.
Wow. Brian, did you learn anything on our tour that you didn't already know?
B&H has many things. I don't know. Yeah. Conveyor belts are cool.
Underwater cameras. That was cool.
Yeah, the underwater ROVs.
ROVs, yeah.
I thought it was kind of cool to see the guy working on the conveyor belt. This is the best pizza you had last time you were here?
I mean, of the 6 or 7 places I had last time I was here, I liked this one the most.
All right.
Is Penn short for Pennsylvania?
I think so, yeah. I had pizza yesterday, but I'm gonna do it again. I might have pizza every day.
Mushroom pizza, amazing.
I got meat lover.
So, the reheated aspect aside.
It was really good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like how the sauce is seasoned. The meats are well seasoned.
It was very good. I finished mine fairly quickly because I liked it.
I'm just a super slow eater. I'm sorry.
No, you're
I
good.
feel bad anytime like we're gonna stop somewhere. I'm like,
we're in no
take my
rush
time
right now.
This is your first New York pizza so far, right?
Yes. And
I had pizza last night. This is my son.
Yeah.
How does it rank between the 2 you've had?
Well, last night I bought a whole fresh pizza. This was my first individual slice of New York pizza. Last night was really good. The little pizza parlor And now Pizza Suprema. Very cool. The crust is very crunchy. I like it.
Good sauce, good crust. Ingredients were consistent. I can see you liked it. Yes.
It was super cool to see MNN and B&H. But now I'm pooped. Let's call it a night. What time we gotta be at Brick tomorrow?
I think the first thing's at 9 or 8 if you want breakfast.
8 a.m. All right. Then I better go to bed early to wake up early because it'll feel like 5 a.m. in my bones.
I know this is a school or something, but I
Yeah.
want to go in there.
Play some basketball.
Yeah.
Daddy, Willow is scooting.
That's it for today. See you tomorrow.